All right, so the reason that I'm saying in the next 3 months to make more money in the next 3 months is because the market's shifting, and what worked 3 months ago isn't working now, and what's going to work now may not work 3 months from now, right? I do think that in the next couple months we're going to have this transition period. With the interest rates going up, it's causing the inventory to go up because the buyers are kind of cooling off a little bit. And so as we see that happen, we see houses to sit longer on the market. So if you haven't seen these indicators yet, keep an eye on your market to see if they're happening. You're going to see some price dropping. You'll see days on market get longer, and you're going to see your inventory increase. And nationally, this is kind of spreading everywhere. There might be a couple anomalies in places, but really, this is what the interest rate is causing things to do at the moment. So, which is what the government wanted, right? That's what they were shooting for. So that's what we're getting. So, 3 months ago, doing, let's say, an open house you couldn't even get to an open house because the house sold before you even got time to get to an open house, right? Or you wouldn't call it expired because there were no expires because everything sold. Or you couldn't even pitch to an open house, so you couldn't even pitch to it for sale by owner because at that point, they could throw a sign in their yard and sell the house themselves. Did they have the best representation when they did that? No. Were they protecting themselves? No. Did they get their max amount of money? No. But still, it was easy, right? Anybody could do it. We had that comment before. Like, anybody could do it. A monkey could do what you do. Well, yes and no, but it was very easy to sell a property. So the other thing is, if you're not on top of your game for how you present listings, how you're presenting yourselves, buyers, yes, they just came to you before, right? Because there were so many of them. You're going to have to step up your game. So this is a really great time for you to kind of analyze your process, your presentation, to see, okay, where can I maybe improve, right? So it's kind of a really good time to just reassess. Now, should you be scared about where the market is or where the market's going? No, markets always change. They always change. And just as quickly as we stepped up in price, by the week, prices kept going up. Well, by the week, prices might just start coming down. We've seen that a little bit. They may not trend down as quickly or as far as where they started 2 years ago, but they're definitely coming down. And that's okay. That's just where the market's at. So we, instead of panicking, we just have to kind of reassess, kind of recalibrate where we're at, what we're doing, and then start using methods that are going to be working for what the situation is now. So that's what we're going to talk about today. I would get my chat up here. Okay, perfect. If you guys have questions, comments, anything, please put them in the chat. We will do some Q&A here at the end and even kind of on the way through if you have questions about any of the different topics that I'm going to talk about. So 6 different things that you can be able to do, okay? And I'm going to give you one more piece of coaching advice right here. I can give you all the ways to find business. I can tell you every single thing that I do to find business. If you don't put them into practice, if you don't do an audit on your time to find out how you're spending your time, what it is that you are doing, and if the things that you're choosing to do with your time, if they are money-making activities, then you may be at a standstill. You may not be making progress, okay? You may have a hard time in your business. So make sure that you're doing that audit, that kind of time audit. We talked about that in our mastermind this week, how we do a time audit. You need to see what it is that you're spending time on. Because if you're at home making spreadsheets of all the for sale by owners, but you never call one, you're not going to make money by making spreadsheets, right? Massive action is what gives us the massive results. And that's what you've got to take. Okay, so the first thing we're going to talk about is our open houses. Okay, so with our open houses, there are some tricks to these. Number one, open houses are working now because the homes are sitting on the market a little bit longer. We have time to do open houses. There's a few different benefits. So if you have a listing, doing an open house, this is great because your sellers are happy. No other way to say it. If a house is sitting on the market right now, which they are sitting a little bit longer, sellers are kind of going into this little bit of panic mode. Everybody's used to a property selling within a few days or within a week, right? And if it's going to sit longer than that, there must be something wrong. So for the next couple months, we're going to have this transition period of people having to understand and get used to what a new normal is. And a new normal is not that a house is going to fly off the market in 2 days. Some properties, yes. Do we still get offers on properties, fairly quickly? Some of them, yes. But not all of them. The majority of them, no. The days on market is starting to go up. And so an open house can help you for a couple reasons. So of course it can make your seller happy because they see something physically happening. When you're not getting phone calls or showings or offers on a property, or very few of them, they want to see some action. That's what an open house is. It's just action, okay? And it's going to make your seller happy so that they're less mad at you and they tend not to cancel their contract. They can tell that you're trying to sell their property. But the reason I love open houses is because you can pick up buyers. We want to find, when we're trying to find new business, don't give me cold calls. Don't give me just names and phone numbers of people who maybe have been in their house for 5 years. Give me warm bodies that are in the market or interested at this time. That is the massive action piece. So if I'm going to spend my time, this is where I would spend some time. Doing open houses, I would do one a week. And if you don't want to take up your Saturday because your kids have soccer games, do it on a Friday. Do it on a Thursday. Do it on a Tuesday night. I don't care. People can show up at all different times. Test out your area to see when people show. Technically, in our area, Saturdays aren't good. People go do a bunch of family stuff, and we don't have really great results on Saturdays. But I used to have really great results on a Thursday mid-morning to afternoon. Don't know why. Or even a Friday evening. So test out what times work and make it work around your schedule so that you don't feel confined to, I don't want to do an open house because I can't do it on a Saturday, or I don't want to do it on a Saturday. Fine, don't do it on a Saturday then. Do it on a different day that fits your schedule, but just do it, okay? When you have a buyer come into an open house, there's a few different things that happen. So number one, right, you need to start to have some conversation with that buyer. That is a potential customer right there. And you don't want to let that slip through your hands. So when they come in, this is what I'll do at an open house, okay? So granted, they're not lining up at the door, so you don't usually have 10 of them in there at one time. You usually can have one at a time. So you can take that one person kind of through the house, give them a little bit of space, and ask them questions along the way. What is it that they like about the house? What do they not like about the house? Yes, you're there to sell the house, but if the house doesn't fit the person, you can't force it on them. You're there to just guide, show, ask some questions. You want them to feel comfortable that you're not the salesperson trying to shove this house down their throat. Because if you can ask the questions of, what do you like, what do you not like? If this house doesn't fit, do you have someone helping you, right? There's some other options that I could be able to show you. That's your pitch. It doesn't have to be a hard sales pitch. Okay? What's your situation? Like, when are you planning on moving? It's the 20 questions game. Not all in a row. You got to have some conversation back and forth. But we need to have that conversation to start to create some relationship and trust building with that client. What is their situation? We don't need a script here, people. Okay? A script is something that's preformed. You can't know what's going on in this person's life. So just start to ask some questions. What do they need? What's their time frame in moving? What do I not like about the house? Before you go to an open house, you have got to research. Research and take some comps. Now, comps, not because we're justifying the price on the house that you're showing. Comps because you would like some backup potential listings, right? Not potential, but potential backup properties that if you have a buyer come through this specific one and they don't like it, that's okay. I have 5 other houses that are on the market. They don't have to be mine, but there are 5 other houses on the market. What do you think about these? Are any of them ones that you would like to go see? Okay, you're having this conversation. The best way to convert this buyer is to have the conversation at the here and now. It is not to have a sign-up sheet, to have them put their email address down, maybe their phone number, because they probably don't want to give it to you because you haven't created a relationship yet, and then you're going to send them an email with some properties. That takes out that personal connection. So again, we're creating personal connection during an open house. When you're going to follow up, this is the other piece here, your follow-up, okay? So you can, if you have time, at the open house, grab open your laptop and pull up some other properties. That is an option, by the way, not just to have a conversation, but to pull up some other properties, okay? It also is offer to put them on a search at that time. If nobody else is coming through the open house and you have time to talk to them, great. Sit down at the kitchen table, start asking them some questions about, so what is it that you are looking for? If this is the house that you don't like, what are we looking for? And then we can go through the, bedrooms, bathrooms, square footage, land size, area, all the good stuff, right? Then you can be able to pull up and put them on a search so that that information can go directly to their email. Now, if you've been around me at all, I prefer the search directly off your MLS. Why do I prefer that? Because what I had recognized was a third-party website, which generally our brokerage websites are. If you put them up on a search on a third-party website, the clients do not get notified as quickly as you do from the MLS. And we live in a world of impatient people. So if they see a property hit the market on Zillow and they didn't get it on their search, you start to lose credibility, right? So you want to be, I'm going to give you the information the fastest, the most accurate information, because Zillow doesn't have accurate information, especially now. They keep jacking up so many things. So I'm giving, and I tell the client this, I can get you on the search. It comes directly from the MLS. The second that things hit the market, within a minute, you receive the information. It's the most accurate information that's out there. And you receive it the fastest. Okay? It's like they have an edge. Is it like a 10-minute edge? It's totally a 10-minute edge, but is it an edge? So that's what I am going to pitch. I have used that line forever. And then they're like, oh my gosh, she has something special that somebody else doesn't have, or she has something special that Zillow doesn't have. Okay? You want to be, again, like the important person. So when you're gonna sit down, you can even have, at this point, you can have a financing conversation to say, do you need help with a lender? Do you have a lender that you like? Have you worked through that process, or do you need help? They may need help. At that point, again, very direct. If you have a client, potential client, buyer, who is interested in purchasing, but they don't have a lender yet, don't just give them a business card of a lender. So you need to have a process with your lender that is easy for the client to do an application. So whether it's via website, our lender has an app, so I just say, hey, you can do the application right on the app. I can send it to you. I can text the link to you. Does that work? That has been the fastest, easiest way for people to do an application. Here's your follow-up question. Okay, write this down, super important. When you give them whatever avenue it is, if they want it via email to do the application, the link, if they want it via text, whatever it is, once you do that, you say to them, when you are done doing the application, let me know. Send me a text, and I will let the lender know. So they can get started on your application. We can get this ball rolling. Okay, why is that piece of the puzzle important? We need a reason to follow up. We need a reason to have a conversation with this buyer again. If we hand them, let's say, which most people do, hand them a business card of the lender and say, here's the lender's phone number, call the lender and do your application. That's like a close-ended question statement. Where's the follow-up in that? So you are now setting the expectation with that buyer that, okay, here, do this application, this is how you do it, this is how easy it is, and then when you're done, let me know. I'll tell the lender so they can get it rolling. Now, you see the difference between those two? You've now created urgency with this buyer. Urgency. You're getting just as excited for them as they are, or even maybe more excited. Or maybe you've changed their expectation of how hard it might be to get this process done. You just never know. Okay? So then you do want to check in with the lender because you want to follow up and make sure that this client has got their application done. You can text them a little bit later and say, hey, do you have any questions on the application? Were you able to complete it? Like if you haven't heard from them, now you have that follow-up. Were you able to complete it? Do you have any questions? If they haven't done it, or I didn't have time yet, or I'll do it tomorrow, great. Now you have your next follow-up point. The next day you can be like, hey, were you able to get the application done? Do you have any questions? Okay? Or is there anything I can help with? Or for some people, old people, right? Do you need me to scan your documents? You got to turn in your bank statements, your pay stubs, and your tax returns. Do they have access to, digitally get them? Do they need them scanned? I can scan them for you and send them to the lender if you need some help. Like, be that over-the-top assistant party. That's the over-delivering of value that we're providing to the clients. Now, does this sound like a lot of work? Does it sound a whole lot more work than just, hey, well, my buyer's a responsible adult, so let's just give them this email or this, this web address, and let's have them go do the application, and if they do it, they do it, and if they don't, they don't. It's their responsibility, they're an adult. Well, that's a really crappy attitude. Are they an adult? Yes. But do most adults actually get done what they need to do? Or can everybody use a little bit of help or a little bit of pushing every now and then? I know I can, right? Well, so can our potential clients. So you want to learn how to make more money and sell more houses? You have got to be, it's not pushy, you've got to be that over-delivering a value agent. Okay, that's what we're doing here. Now, when we follow up, what's our time frame for following up? If you meet somebody in an open house, you can follow up that day. What you don't want to do is, if they thought, oh, I'm going to think about it, we may like this house, right? And then you're going to give them 2 or 3 days to think about it. Wrong answer. They're going to be gone and done and doing something else by then. People do not have patience. So if you feel like you're being too pushy of a salesperson, it's not pushy to call and ask if they need help. It's the mind frame. Okay? Sure, if you're going to call and be like, do you want to put an offer on this house? Do you like this house? I want to sell this house. That's totally different attitude than, hey, what's going on? Did you like it? I don't want you to lose out. Or, do you have any questions? Is there anything I can do for you? That's the only type of conversation that you need to have. It's not complicated, okay? And it's not salesy. And that's, again, how we're creating relationships with people. Okay, does anybody have any open house questions? You can throw them in the chat if you do. That's our open houses. Really, really, really great time to start doing open houses, you guys. Really great. People are coming out, right? Houses are sitting. We have time to do open houses now. Find the warm bodies. Okay, the next thing is we're going to be seen. What do I mean by that? This is a really great time to be seen. And I'm going to bounce back 1 second. Would you offer a flyer for buyers and sellers? Yes, you can definitely offer a flyer, any sort of information. You can take your one sheet with you, which is like what type of value you provide with, for your buyers or your sellers. Because here again, especially if you're maybe like open housing a property in a that's like in the step up price range, that buyer probably has a house to sell. So that's when you start to double dip, right? That's when you really compound your business, is not by finding buyer after buyer after buyer. It's by finding buyer who has a house to sell. Now you have the listing, now you have the purchase, right? 2 for 1. Do you ask if they're working with someone? Yes, Marcia. So in that conversation, that is not the first question I ask. I will tell you why. Okay? Because I like to create a little bit of trust between me and the client, with them understanding that I'm okay providing some value to them, even if they're working with somebody else. Because providing them information and some value, you're not in trouble by doing that, providing information at an open house, okay? So I will start to have that conversation and create some relationship first. Before then I go to put them on a search, I will say, so are you, or wherever it's comfortable and normal in the conversation, I will then say, I'd love to help you if you'd like some help. Are you working with an agent, or are you contracted with an agent? Okay, contracted is different than working with, by the way. I can be working with an agent and never have signed a contract, never have signed a buyer representation agreement with them, and not like my agent, and I don't have to use them. Very often, I have had clients who are like, well, yeah, I've been working with this person, and I'm like, great, I hope they're serving you well. And they'll be like, well, you've provided more information to me than they've provided me for the last 2 months that I've been working with them. So I'm like, well, have you signed anything? Nope, haven't signed anything. Well, great, I can totally help you then. If you're not happy, I can help you. I've done that many times. So watch out, agents in the area, because if you're not providing good service to your client and they haven't signed a buyer rep agreement, right, then you got them. I will tell you right here, my very favorite story is I had someone call me on a listing, wasn't even my listing. Someone calls me. I had probably 20, 30-minute conversation with the client about all these things we just talked about, right? What their experience was, what they were looking for, about that specific house, the area. I gave them all sorts of information, and they had said that they were working with an agent, they were contracted with that agent, but they were unhappy. And at that point, they can go back to the broker, to that agent, and say, I'm not happy, this is why I'm not happy. They can ask to be released from their contract, but they do not have to be released from their contract. In this case, had that conversation, 20, 30 minutes. I tagged that potential buyer in my phone, no joke, as guy who hates his realtor. Okay? I didn't even put his name in there. I didn't even remember his name. I'm bad at that. But guy who hates his realtor was in my phone now. Okay? So 5 months later, I get a phone call from guy who hates his realtor. And I answered my phone, and he proceeds to tell me that he went back to his agent. His agent would not release him from their buyer representation agreement, but he hated his agent so much, he waited him out through that contract. And then 5 months later called me. And we sure enough went and bought a $400,000 property. He was that unhappy. But the first question that I asked was not, well, do you have an agent? Are you working with someone? Right? I created some relationship and some trust and provided some value first, and I was willing to share my knowledge and information with that client. They didn't have to be my client. This is a warm body. This is a person that may or may not need help, right? And that's my job, is to help. I've got information he doesn't have, okay? And again, like Cynthia just said, that potential buyer remembers you when they fire their agent. And sure enough, he did. And they're like raving fans. They just give me great reviews, send people to me, love me. That was just, 4 or 5 years ago. Okay? All right. If you guys have any other questions, throw them in the chat. Do I tour them or give them space and let hang back? I kind of do a little bit of both. So I like to protect the house, right? So that's kind of my number one, is you don't want people especially if they've got children and they're combing around the house and jumping on a bed, because kind of sometimes that happens. So I'll kind of hang back, let them do their walk around. I don't like to just be right in front of their face. If this is like a $3 million property, I give a grand tour, right? So I'll walk around and I will at that point really go into detail about the property. It depends on the property. If it's just like a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 1,800 square foot house, then sure, I'll kind of hang back, let them walk around, tell them, open cupboards, do what you'd like, and ask them, tell them, ask me any questions if you have any questions. Just want you guys to feel comfortable, and I don't want to be hovering, right? And then let them kind of do their thing. But I do kind of hang around a little bit. I don't just let them go do their own thing, because again, that is losing opportunity to start to create a little bit of trust and provide some value in case they have questions. Okay. You're welcome. Okay, so this is a really great time. Again, why this is time sensitive. We have fairs, we have farmers markets, if you have those in your area. What else do we have? Parades. All the fun stuff. It is fun time, right? So again, if you're going to do any of these different activities here, what's important to remember is you have to be providing some sort of value, okay? So sitting at a fair is a static activity. You are not actively doing anything besides sitting, right? That's not an active activity. So if we're going to do fairs, farmers markets, parades, anything, we need to have some sort of way for the clients to kind of be engaged with us and for us to start some conversation. We do that by providing some sort of value, okay? Value information. So what kind of information would I be providing right now in my area? let's say I could have some sort of handout that does have like, this is what the market's doing, or this is what the market was 3 months ago and this is what the market is right now. That's helpful information. What kind of questions do you have that people are asking you right now? Right? I mean, you get them at church, you get them at the grocery store, you get them from friends. Like you hear what's going on and what people are concerned about. You need to find some sort of value piece of information that you can be able to answer those questions and help those people. My favorite thing right now for any of these things is I would have some sort of handout with the QR code, which you can make in Canva, to go to your HomeBot account. That would be probably my number one at the moment, because why? Right now in the market, with the prices changing, right, and they're starting to go down and people are a little bit nervous and they don't know what's necessarily going on or where the value of their house sits, that's the number one question that you could be able to answer for a client or a potential client. So if you are going to do a handout, make sure that your handout has something to do with, do you want to know what your current home value is, right? If you want to know what your current home value is, they can just scan here and they can be able to get their automated home value. Now, automated is a really easy barrier to break because they're not going to feel like, hey, scan here and I'm going to call you 10 times, right? It's non-invasive. And so that's why I would use this as my tool at the moment. It's something you can provide. We've had in our marketing class with the QR codes, right? You can put up signs that have like scan here for your home's value, and you can make those into signs to be able to put next to you in the ground, whatever, while you're sitting at a fair or farmer's market. It just gives some opportunity for some conversation as well. If you're going to have any sort of handouts or gifts or something, yeah, make them branded so your information's on there. What we don't do is have a nice pretty handout piece of paper that has your face on it and says, I'm your neighborhood realtor. Okay, so what? There's no action involved in just telling people that you are their neighborhood realtor. Again, so what are we looking to do? We are looking to have the client, potential client, take action if they are so inclined. That's what we're looking to do. So what prompt can you give, or what question, number one question for your area, can you answer in order to do that? This is going to tie in actually with our next one as well. So a really great handout here. Okay, a really great handout here is whenever, well, and this might not be in your area at the moment, but tax assessments. Okay, I hope that has 4 S's because I just gave it 4 S's. So tax assessments, I would do a handout at this moment. So this is kind of our number three method. When you get tax assessments, when people get their tax assessments, you know the value is not the exact same as what your property value is when you're selling. Okay, they're never exactly the same, and depending on your area, they can be significantly off. In a lot of areas at the moment, they are increasing the tax assessments. So, you know, all the tax assessors thought, yeah, I talked to mine yesterday, they're increased everything by 30 to 40%. Just blanket, just like across the board. They don't go check comps because they don't have access to that usually. They'll just go through and just increase everything because that's what the market's done, okay? Well, this causes a lot of panic in a lot of people, especially the elderly or people that are on fixed incomes. But still, we want to say, okay, what is our tax assessment versus our value? And if they want that, right, here's your QR code. Scan here. Like, what's the difference between your tax assessment value and your home value? Scan here. Something simple. But this is also a tool that you could use, that you can hand out, you know, at your fairs or your booths or whatever, but you could also be able to do this as a mailer. Again, it is going to be branded. You'll have your information on it, but it's not, see the difference between sending something out that says, hey, I'm your neighborhood realtor, use me, have me list your house, right, which is all about you, as opposed to, hey, you just got your tax assessment, you're probably a little bit freaked out, what's your home value? Scan here, you can get this for free. there's some value. If you're going to send out any sort of mailer, make sure that it has purpose and value, okay? So this would be a really great combo mailer for you to send out whenever your tax assessments come out. Seize the day. You could use that every single year. Put that on your calendar of things that you're going to do.
Lisa, you just send them to the HomeBot seller page?
Yes, thank you. So the QR code, thank you. The QR code for that will go to your HomeBot seller page. So that's a really good, let me take that a little bit further too. So what do we do with that when we get it? So once they have gone and signed up on your HomeBot seller page, you're going to get usually, well, their name, address, right, and their email. You're also going to be able to see if they're looking at the reports. So now, once you've signed them up on HomeBot, or once they've signed themselves up on HomeBot, you can see how often are they accessing it, and when they receive an email once a month that has their updated value, like, are they opening it? When you're going to sit down and you're going to do your follow-up, now you have guidance on who's the most likely to answer your phone calls because you know who's the most active, right? So that's why we do that. That's why I love HomeBot too. HomeBot also lets you stay in front of the client every single month. Your contact information, and you're providing value to them every single month. Take advantage of it if you haven't yet. It's a really good tool. I coached an agent this week and she said, I don't know if Gail's on here, but she's like, thank you so much. I finally got my clients on HomeBot. She has 2 listing appointments. These are past clients that she put on there, her past homeowners. 2 listing appointments this week because people see their value and then they start to have questions. So we provide that information and then it starts to spark like, well, if the market's going to go down, I may want to sell my house right now, right? I may want to capitalize on it before the market takes a total crash, which people think is going to happen. How would I handle tax assessments that are higher than comparables in the area? Okay, so if you have, sorry, we're kind of bouncing back and forth, but if you have a tax assessment that's higher than your comparables in the area, you can be able to, if you're still within the time frame where you can, what's the word I'm looking for? Because I can't even think of the word. Appeal it. If you're, thank you, Kesley. If you're still in the time frame to appeal it, then you can be able to provide comparable properties to help do that appeal. Now, if you have a potential seller or just a warm body who has questions then about, hey, my value's off, what do I do? That's when you have an opportunity to provide some information. Well, this is what you can do. You can appeal it. You'll have to have some comparable properties. I can definitely help you with that if you would like. Now, do we need to charge for that? And do we expect something in return? No. Okay. This is great customer service. This is you providing value to that person. No other agents go above and beyond and do things like that. Okay, your normal everyday agent doesn't want to do anything that they don't get paid for. It's all about the money. And I'm telling you right now, you take 30 minutes to help somebody, they don't forget that you've helped them. So whether they're the one that calls you to sell their house down the road, or they have a friend the next week that says, oh, I'm thinking about selling my house, but I need to find an agent, guess who's going to get recommended? The person that unselfishly gave their time and their talent to help that person, right? Without expectation of payment. What would I offer if appeal process has lapsed? Nothing, because the appeal process has lapsed. They can try to call down to the county, but there's a definite time frame. So unless there's something drastically wrong, the counties will not let you appeal if you have passed the date. I know that because I talked to them yesterday. You can check with your own specific county though, and you can see what your county says. But that's what that is. Now I'm gonna mention something else here. Find out when your tax assessments come out, right? You should know, but just get that on your calendar and be prepared next year. If they've already happened and the time has lapsed, be prepared next year to send out that mailer ahead of time. Tax assessments are coming out, your value might be over what your home is worth, right? I would say next year, probably the market's gone down, so the values are going to be different. Sign up here so you can be able to see what your value is so you have something to compare your tax assessment to. Bam. Anyone who's slightly interested is going to jump on that. Doesn't cost them anything. You're providing value. That's it. Here's my phone number. Call me if you have questions. Okay? So take advantage of what's going on and providing something of value. I keep saying the word value, 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 like over and over. But that's how you're going to get people to start to work with you. Okay? All right. So did I answer all the questions? I think I got them. Let me go back here. Okay. Okay, got it. Okay. And Kelly, I think I kind of answered your question. We're going to get to a little bit more of that follow-up with our HomeBot clients in just a second. So first we're going to talk about our for sale by owners now. So number 4 is our for sale by owners. So perfect time, you guys. I'm going to say this over and over. This is the lowest hanging fruit right now. Okay? Our tax assessments and our for sale by owners, lowest hanging fruit right now. Why? Because it was easy to sell your house before. Like I said in the beginning, right? It was really easy to sell their house, so they could throw a sign in the yard, they could get it sold, whether they got a good price for it or not, they got it done and they felt like they were accomplished. Well, guess what's happening? Take a look. Get on Zillow. There's 2 different tabs. You have your active listings, or whatever they call them, like listings, they have other. Underneath the other is where your for sale by owners are listed. Get in there, take a look at the for sale by owners. They've been on the market. I was coaching an agent yesterday. We pulled up there. She had some on her market in the area for 55 and 75 days. Okay, now put yourself in that for sale by owner's shoes, in that homeowner's shoes. Okay, I've had my house on the market for 55 or 75 days. The first thing that we usually tell ourselves, or what I hear agents tell themselves, is, well, they probably have received a bunch of phone calls, or if they haven't listed with an agent by now, they're probably not going to list with an agent. I don't want to waste my time. Why would I call? That's what I usually hear. Okay, that's a really great story and thought that you're telling yourself. Is it helping you? It's not helping you, and it's not helping them. So let's talk about some alternative things here. So this for sale by owner, right? They are probably in panic mode. They don't know what's going on in the market. They hear the prices might be coming down. Maybe they don't know that. I don't know. But they may have to sell. They may be in a situation where they need to sell their property. They needed every penny out of it that they could possibly get. Well, guess what? The longer they wait to sell, the less money they're going to get, because as the market kind of creeps back down, as the interest rates creep back up, right? They're going to get less money. That right there is information you can provide to them. If they're like, I have to get all the money, well, that's great. But if you are on the market and you don't have the reach that you need to, right? Houses on the MLS are sitting on the market. So if you're for sale by owner and your reach is very low, you're going to sit on the market even longer than the houses on the MLS. And the longer you sit, the less you're going to get for your property. It's just the way the market's going right now. Now again, I'm saying that because that's what's happening in most of the areas, my area. Assess your own area, change your dialogue, but that is how you would approach it if the market's starting to go down. Okay? We want to talk to them about the reach. Okay, let me give you my for sale by owner get up here, okay? Okay. How do we break that barrier of, well, how are we doing on time? Okay, how do we break that barrier of, I feel comfortable calling it for sale by owner? Like, how do I approach them, right? What do we even say? So when we talk to for sale by owner, what we do, and most agents are taught to do that is not helpful, is just to call them. So look, there's a for sale by owner online. I'm just going to call him. And then you call and you say what? Hey, I'm a realtor. I can help you list your house if you would like. Okay, so can every other person that calls them, by the way. So what value, again, it's the word of the day, like on Sesame Street, what value can you be able to provide to that for sale by owner? So you have to do some research before you even get to that point. So what you're going to do is you want to take a look at their listing. You want to check the days on market that they have been, but you also want to check the days on market that house should be on the market. Okay, so what are we looking at? So days on market, check out their photos. This is where we're going to kind of be mean, is what I call it. We're going to be like that judgmental high schooler. where we're gonna take a look at their photos, their description. We're gonna check out their presentation, we're gonna check out the house, and we're gonna see what does it look like and do a quick assessment, okay? Quick assessment of, is it performing poorly because their photos suck, their description's awful, it's hard to get a hold of the person because they don't answer the phone. Like, what is the problem? Okay? You have got to identify a problem before you call the client. Before you call them. Because you need to call with a solution. Now, you're like, but Elisa, I haven't seen the house yet. How am I supposed to know what the problem is? Oh, you can tell. You can tell very quickly what the problem is. So go back, look up an old listing. Then you can be able to see what the house looks like if there aren't enough photos here. Check out an old listing. You can see what they bought it for. If you look it up on RPR, oh my gosh, I can't, right? If you look up the listing on the RPR, I just use the app. The only thing I use RPR for is to get just the quick data. Bedrooms, bathrooms, square footage, who owns the house, how much they paid for it, or I think it shows what their mortgage amount is maybe on there, but I know it shows what they bought it for generally. Then you have an idea maybe if they didn't do a home equity loan to max out their value, that how much space that they might have to actually sell the property. You're just getting a general idea. The next thing that you're going to do after you assess their property is go assess some quick comparables. Now, don't do a deep dive and don't take an hour and a half. We don't need a full CMA. That's not what I'm saying. Because if you do a full CMA and then you turn around and you call the for sale by owner and then they kick you to the curb because they're not interested in working with a realtor at all, you just wasted an hour and a half and you're going to be like, well, Lisa, that was a waste of my time. Why did I even do that? And I'm not going to do it again. Well, true. I wouldn't either. That's why I don't spend an hour and a half and do a full CMA. I'm going to go skim the surface. I'm going to go pull up and say, okay, they're in this neighborhood. This is what's sold. This is how theirs compares. Here's like a $20,000 range that they're going to be in. Okay? And then where are they? Assess their price. Now, if they're too high, that's okay. They may not know that they're too high. That doesn't mean you don't call them. That doesn't mean you can't help. It means you now know what a potential solution is for their problem. Okay? If they are too low, that's really great because you can call and say, hey, it's really about your reach because your price isn't a problem. I can actually get you more money. You have a presentation problem and you have a price problem, but your price is too low. Let's get you more money. That does happen, by the way. Been there, done that too. Okay, so skim the surface of that. But our for sale by owners, because of the panic and the change in the market, this is a really, really great time to go call them. In the next 2 months, you guys, you should be calling for sale by owners every single week. Now, calling the same one, not necessarily. See what they say when you talk to them. Once you skim the surface, I'll just take you one step further, but once you skim the surface, you make the phone call, you offer some information. I will ask, I can get within like a $20,000 range on your price for you, but if I can come see the property, I can be able to get more accurate and be able to help you a little bit further. Now, at this point, I have never said the words, would you like to list your house with me? Ever. Okay? Again, we provide the value up front. We create that relationship with them. Then you're going to be the agent that has done something that no other agent has done. And if that for sale by owner is like, you're right, and I'm sick of all the phone calls for people that ask if I can own or carry and ask if I can rent out the house, or people that aren't qualified, and I don't want to deal with this anymore, I just need my house sold, guess who they're going to have list their house? And you never even had to ask, by the way. You were there to provide help and some value. Okay? All right, same thing's gonna go for our expireds. We didn't have expireds in the last 2 years. No one ever expired because everything sold. So it wasn't even a thing. Now, do not pay for an expired list. By the way, you don't have to pay for that. You go in your MLS, check every single week and see what expired. Easy peasy. Check every morning. Have that be your ritual. You're gonna drink your morning breakfast shake and you're gonna check to see if anything expired. That is, again, a warm body who at some point really wanted to sell their house. And then we kind of apply the exact same thing that we just did with our for sale by owners. We're going to be that judgy teenager that's going to go in and say, well, why did this house not sell? And do your quick assessment. Take 20 minutes, right? Look at the price, look at the presentation, look at the photos. If you know the agent and you know the agent never picks up their phone, well, there's a really great indicator right there too. This right here is also going to be low-hanging fruit in the next couple months because there are so many realtors who have done such a poor job at their presentations that it didn't matter. They could put up 2 sentences for a listing, put up some cell phone camera photos with the toilet seat open, the shower curtain closed, and the house would still sell because there was the buying frenzy. Well, guess what? There's no buying frenzy anymore, so if you don't step up your game, your house will be expiring. If you suck as a realtor, the listing will be expiring. Really, really, really great opportunity for those of you who want to put in the work, do some assessment, and call or show up at their front doorstep or anything like that. So for expireds, really great low-hanging fruit right now as well. Okay, then our last thing that we have, I want to throw back really quickly. Holy Moses. Okay, just a second. I squirreled. I want to throw back really quick. Somebody had mentioned in my mastermind group about checking garage sale groups. So if you have Facebook groups, garage sale groups, there's a lot of conversation going on there about tax assessments, property values, the market, that sort of thing. So that's a good thing to be a part of, is garage sale groups. And yeah, anyway, yeah. Then you can jump in and start providing some value. Anna, explain what you just said. You said you looked on the MLS, there's 401 expired. Is that what you're telling me? Yeah, that's a lot, right? That's a lot. Look at that, like opportunity. That's what I call that. Now, be careful if you're gonna check. So the reason I say check expireds when you're drinking your morning shake is because you wanna see what just expired, because if something expired 2 weeks ago, you need to just go do a quick search on that one and make sure that it didn't get relisted. Okay, so just do a quick check before you go deep diving into it even further. I don't know why people think that they have to pay for an expired list. You do not. You can look on your MLS, right? It's free. Kesley said, just a call to have all that conversation, or do you recommend getting in the house to have the conversation? For FSBOs and expireds. Okay, so I will first make the phone call. If I have a phone number, I will first make the phone call and start creating some relationship over the phone so they feel comfortable having me come over to their house. So that's what I'll do first if I have the option. That being said, I've got one of my agents who was watching expireds. She saw it's like $1.5 million property, $1.5 million property that expired. She caught it the day that it expired. She went the next day and literally knocked on the guy's door and had a conversation with him, and she picked up the listing by knocking on his door. Now, again, it has to be safe in your area, right? HomeSnap will show phone numbers, or if they are do not call list on HomeSnap for homeowners. So you can look on there. Yeah. I'll find you. We're going to deep dive into expireds next Friday too, so sources for phone numbers, and then diving into the conversation even a little bit more. Okay, so the last thing that I am going to encourage you to do is we need to revisit. So who do we revisit? So all the past buyers, not past buyers, but potential buyers that you have on a search. So if you have anybody set up on a search, there's a couple really cool things you can do right now. So it's not awkward. It's not awkward to call a potential buyer, or the buyer that you have on a search. Say you haven't talked to them for 4 months and you're like, well, now it's awkward, so I don't want to call them. Well, if you call them with a reason, right, an excuse to call them, then it doesn't become awkward. So right now, any buyers that I had on search that I maybe kind of forgot about because we got so busy with so many people or whatever, we couldn't find houses for them, so we just kind of ignored them. Now's a good time to call and just say, hey, do we need to adjust your search at all? So a couple different things. Do we need to check out your financing? Because the interest rates have gone up, so that's going to change their qualification. And then also, do we need to change their search criteria? I'm messily writing. But do we need to change their search criteria? You probably do. So financing, reevaluation, and search criteria. That gives you an excuse to call them. Now, when you have your buyer on a search in your MLS, you can be able to see, and if you can't, you just go change your settings, but you should be able to see when you last notified them of any properties on their search, and then also when they've opened it last. So then you know, again, like, where's the low-hanging fruit? Well, I'm not going to start at the bottom of my list for people that aren't even opening their emails. I'm going to start at the top of the list and start to go through the people that are most interested, right, in what's going on, or that they're opening their emails. The same thing goes for HomeBot. When you get people on the HomeBot, your potential sellers on HomeBot, you're going to start with the low-hanging fruit of the people that have been opening that every single month. Now, an excuse to call your HomeBot people, that's my next people. You got your HomeBot, you got your buyers, and you got your HomeBot, which is usually your sellers. You do have a buyer landing page. If you are hooked up with a lender, you'll have a buyer landing page for HomeBot. You can do the same thing that you do here. But here's your excuse. You're going to call a seller and you're going to say, hey, I'm just checking to see if you would like an update on what your property value is. Right? Of course we know HomeBot is not accurate. We're very happy that HomeBot is not accurate. If it was accurate, we would be out of a job. If we could automate everything that we do, we would be out of a job. Right? It's a great tool. It is a guide. It is an idea of what the market is doing. It is not gospel. It is not fact, right? It is a general idea. So if they've been opening it, you just send an email or make a phone call and just say, just checking to see if you'd like me to double check your value, or if you have any questions on what the value is of your property. Easy peasy, right? That's it. That helps start some conversation. Do I prefer phone call over email? Of course, because you can send an email. That's kind of the cheater way out. If we send an email, they may or may not respond. I've sent emails out to 75 people that I have on searches, and I'll literally have about 8 people respond. And the email will go, right, with these guys, the email would be like, hey, just can you see if you have any questions? If we want to do any changes to your search, if everything's still exactly the way you want it, and we're just kind of hanging tight, let me know. Well, it is a touch, which is great. I'm getting in front of them, but the response that I get back is only, 8 out of 75. It's not very high. So if you make the phone call and just touch base with them, that's better. If you have time to do that, do that. It is better. Don't take the easy way out and just do an email, okay? People like people. Okay, when, I'm going to give you just a really quick thought here. With anything that you're doing, okay, here's the scenario. I'm trying to think how to exactly say this to you. But did anybody ever have that, let's bounce back real quick to high school, right? You had the guy or the girl or the one person that you're like, oh my gosh, they're cute, you have the crush. And you can't like be creepy and like follow them around, but you know their place of work, and let's say they work at a restaurant. So you're gonna find an excuse to go to the restaurant because you're gonna see the person, right? Totally giving it all away, but there was this super cute guy, totally thought he was awesome, cute. Yeah, I talked to him outside of school, whatever. He was actually older, and he worked over at Wingers. So what would we do? My friends and I, we would go to Wingers to go get a shake. Like, that was the excuse to be able to run into him to have a conversation. Take that same scenario, apply that to our real estate with our buyers and our sellers. We need to find a reason to be able to contact our potential buyers and sellers. We can't just make the cold calls. It is a waste of time. And if you want to make more money and make faster progress, quit doing things that are wasting time. We need to do things that are moving the needle, taking the massive action. And the way we do that is to create those relationships by providing value to the customer. They may or may not be our customer yet, but if you are willing to provide value up front, imagine what they think about you when they're like, wow, if they're willing to give me this much information and we're not even like, they're not even my realtor, then how awesome are they going to be when they're my realtor? They're going to be amazing, right? And then that's how you start to create a great name for yourself too. That's how those referrals start to come in, because you are that person who is willing to help other people provide information without the expectation of making money or being paid on the back end. But guess what? Every one of my agents, I teach this. If you focus on the money, you will not find that success that you're looking for. It is amazing. Just try it, that when you just focus on the person and helping that person, the money will come. Every single time. Sometimes does it come in the way that you think it's going to come? No. But it will come. And whether it comes in referrals or the repeat business or the client hiring you or whatever, put yourself out there in that form of, I'm here to help you. I have the skills, the knowledge. This is my job, right? I have this ability. Let me help bless your life the way that I can. And by being unselfish that way, you create this bond with other people where they trust you. Well, if they trust you, they're going to tell everybody else they know that they trust you. So if they need somebody, for sure they're calling you, right? That's how you start to compound your business and build a substantial actual business. You're not just selling a house here and selling a house there and always looking for a buyer and always looking for a seller. You're forming these and fostering these relationships with people and creating a name for yourself is what you're doing. It makes a really, really big difference. That is like 100% my secret. Like, that is it. That is why. That is why I just answer my phone. I just sat home for 5 weeks having back surgery, not leaving my house, but still got 5 things under contract. Listings and buyers. Like, because they trust me. I wasn't there to even go home the house. I had to have somebody pinch hit for me. They didn't care. They called me. They knew I was sitting on my couch. They were okay with it, right? Because we have that bond. So that's what I'm going to leave you with. Let's do some Q&A. In case anybody has any questions, you are welcome to unmute, or you can put it in the chat if you don't want to unmute. Anna wants to talk more about HomeSnap. Anna, what do you want to talk about with HomeSnap? You can go ahead and unmute. Maybe. Where'd she go? Oh, there she is. How HomeSnap works. So HomeSnap, the thing about HomeSnap is it's just linked to your MLS. So it's like the shortcut to your MLS. What I use HomeSnap for is when I get a phone call from somebody who says, hey, there's this property I'm interested in. I don't go look it up on Zillow. I look it up on HomeSnap, because then you can see all the agent notes and the commissions and the docs and everything on there. So it's just a quick shortcut when people call and ask you a question about a property. Or if you happen to drive by a property, see something that's up for sale and you want to know a little bit more about it. That's really what it's for. You can get in there. There's this whole sector inside HomeSnap, and if you go to HomeSnap on your computer, not on your phone, this works better. But HomeSnap on the computer, it does show people that are, and I don't know if you have to have the paid version of this, but it does show potential people that are potential sellers, right? And the way that all these algorithms work with these potential sellers is really, how long have they been in their house? What does the turnover look like? Like, they have these algorithms that help calculate that. A lot of different companies have this. HomeSnap, you can get it for free. So if you're going to go to market to a specific area, or try to maybe blanket market to some mailer marketing or something, that is a guide that you can be able to use. When they say, yeah, people usually move within 3 to 7 years or whatever, that's probably what they're hitting. I believe, I'm not sure if theirs taps into it, but some of the programs will tap into, if there's been divorces or missed payments, then those people are, again, more highly likely to sell. And so it kind of identifies that. This is one thing I will say about going down the rabbit hole, okay? find the warm bodies first. So when you have opportunities, find the warm bodies to talk to in some of the ways that we've just discussed. Because you could sit home on your computer and go down this rabbit hole of, right, like all these potential sellers that may be willing to sell and make your spreadsheets, but what action are you taking? And is it kind of the needle in the haystack? Like, sure, if you want to call 100 people, 2 people might answer and be willing to list. But if you're going to go do an open house and you have 10 people come through, 2 out of the 10 might not have a realtor. What's going to take you more time and what's going to get you in front of that person so that you can start to create a relationship, right? Do you want to go do an open house that's sitting at home on the computer, faster, easier, less stressful maybe? Yeah, it is, but didn't we want to build our business? And didn't we want to sell more houses and make more massive impact for us financially? We do, and so we need to pick the things that are going to be providing a more massive action, right? Is that even right English? Yeah. Does anybody else have any questions or comments or thoughts or things that I didn't mention that you want to share with the group?
Great session, Lisa. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for talking, Cynthia. Got all these people in their pajamas. Just kidding. I don't know if you are or not, but
I had my daily walk this morning, so my endorphins are on fire.
right. I'm actually, I don't know if you can tell, I'm feeling a whole lot better today. Every day's been better, but this is probably the most energy that I've had in the last 5 weeks. So I'm feeling like finally, I'm finally coming back, which is great. Next week is the Agent Leader Academy playbook training, marketing training, and we are deep diving into our expireds. That's what we're doing next week. Very relevant right now. So that's what's going to be in the Agent Leader Academy. If you are not in the Academy, you can go sign up. It's on my main agentleader.com page. You can find it. $79 a month. Cancel whenever you want, whatever, you know what I mean? You can sign up for 1 month. If you don't want the playbook for the next month, then cancel, like whatever works. If you sign up before next Friday, you will get last month's social media playbook and this month's expired playbook. So you kind of get a twofer if you get signed up before next Friday. I'll have some emails going out as well, so watch your inbox or your junk email, and those will be coming out as well. So I think that's it. That's what we're up to. Go get them. Have a good time. Take some action, you guys. And yeah, have a really great 4th of July. Forgot it's 4th of July.
You too, Lisa. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Lisa.
You're welcome. Bye, guys. Good. Right? That's what we want.
Thank you, Lisa.
Bye.